Hello, welcome back. Hi, hi, hi. Cool. So I hope you are a bit refreshed with this morning's session. You're not tired yet. We have one more keynote speaker before we break for lunch. So bear with us. And actually, I think you will leave this session feeling extremely energized. So I trust in that. So I'm going to introduce Shakir Mohamed, who is a director for science, technology, and society at Google DeepMind. But I want to be very clear
that Google DeepMind is just one of the hats he wears, but he also has a lot of other very inspirational positions. And I'm going to read his bio very quickly. So, Shakir works on technical and socio-technical questions in AI research and development, working on problems in foundational AI, applied problems in healthcare, education, and environment, and participation and responsibility. Shakir is a research director at Google DeepMind in London, an associate fellow at the Leverhulme Centre for the Future of Intelligence, and an honorary professor of UCL, University College London. He's the founder and trustee of the Deep Learning Indaba, a grassroots charity whose work is to develop Pan-African capacity and leadership. And I just wanted to be very clear, Shakir is one of the people that really inspired us to put this event together, and Indaba is really the pioneer in this space. So thank you, Shakir. In 2023, Shakir was included in the top 100 most influential people in AI. He serves on several boards, including the oversight board of the Ada Lovelace Institute, as the chair of the International Scientific Advisory Committee for the Pan-Canadian AI Strategy, the Royal Society Diversity and Inclusion Committee, and the AI Fields Leading Conferences, ICLR, ICML, NeurIPS. Shakir is from South Africa. He completed a postdoc at the University of British Columbia, received his PhD from St. John's College in the University of Cambridge, and received his master's and undergraduate degrees in electrical and information engineering from the University of Witwatersrand, Johannesburg. With all that being said, I think you just hear him speak and you'll be inspired, so I'll leave it to Shakir.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here today. It's just such a pleasure to be here. It's really an honor to follow our esteemed host, to be here in Qatar, to be in PCRI, and to really be here at this first gathering of a community of AI in machine learning for the Middle East and North Africa. And by coming here together in this way, you are getting yourselves, your communities, your country, and your regions ready for its future. A future where you can take the best of what AI can do to help people live more prosperous lives, and hopefully reject any AI that leads to harm and injustice. So that is a big task. It's one that won't be easy, but by being here today in this way, by collecting, by gathering, by bringing your intellectual resources together, you are taking your first steps towards that goal. So that's something immensely proud to me. So the topic of getting ready is what I'm going to use as the theme of my talk today. You are here getting ready for this week. You are getting ready for your next career steps. You are getting ready for new opportunities. To get ready in the way that I'm referring to means that you need to start doing things that are new. And to start doing things that have not been done before. So this is exciting, this is exploring, this is pioneering. And so that's why I call this talk Pioneering in AI. And I want to invite you to answer the question of what it means to pioneer in AI, especially here in Qatar, in the Middle East, in North Africa, and beyond. And hopefully that's going to set up your discussion and your question for the rest of the evening. So I'm going to use my time in 3 parts, and I'm going to share some ideas in the form of stories with you, and I want you to engage with these stories. So in the first part, I'm going to come back to this idea of getting ready. And into the language and thinking of sociotechnical systems. Then I want to explore some of the impact areas of AI. I'm going to look at three areas: in education, in environment, and in culture. And finally, I want to talk to you about building strong communities and ownership in AI and my experiences. So before I start, I want to hear from a few of you. So please just get ready to share your voice, share a little bit of your thinking with us all. There's some people with mics standing around. And I'd like you to answer the question or share with us. What is it that you hope to get out of being here this week at this first Middle East and North Africa AI Winter School? And I'll just repeat again, what is it that you are hoping to get out of this week? And I want to just hear a few of your voices and ideas, and I wonder if there's a volunteer that will go first on this side.
Yeah, so I strongly belong to this region, and I'm proud of it. So I strongly belong to this region, and I'm strongly proud of it. And I'm looking forward to see what other people from this region are looking forward to work in AI, and what we have ideas and how we can work together to get the name of this region in the top AI field.
Another reflection or thought for us, please. Maybe share your name also, where you're from.
Yeah, so I'm Ümit, I'm from Turkey. I'm hoping to get doing a lot of networking and build maybe a part of the community in AI field in the Middle East region, because I think we need a representation in all of the fields. So AI and technology is one of them. So I'm hoping that at the end of this week I will have some friends that maybe co-author in a paper and maybe build some apps together, hopefully, and just generally a friendship that will last for a couple of weeks more than hopefully, I guess.
A few more voices and thoughts, please. Right.
Hi, Shakir. Nice to meet you again. For the first time, we met in 2023 in Africa for Deep Learning Indaba with the help of that lady, MENA. So here, after I participated in Deep Learning Indaba in 2023, I have co-founded AI Somali community for the first time in Somalia. I have also become ambassadors for some other tech communities like Zingli and Deep Learning Indaba. Also, now in 2024, we have our first AI summit in Somalia. Google was sponsoring and some of Google participated also, and I'm glad here. Also, at the end of this program, I thought that as Deep Learning Indaba changed my life, and the way that I saw AI and how AI can change communities. Now that I want to take this message to the governmental level, so at least we can have in Somali, that's the program, and my next time. So in Somali, we don't have AI strategy, we don't have something like that. So I wanted to take this message after this MENA program to the governmental level, so we can have that strategies like the one that we currently recently, international strategy.
Hi, I'm Ada from Egypt, but I'm coming from Denmark, and I'm doing my master's. So I'm here to do some networking and getting know ideas to my research thesis for master's, and see what the MENA region have for future AI. So thank you.
Do you have a few more voices that want to speak on that side, right to the back? Yeah, let's hear them from that side.
Hi, my name is Ada, and I'm PhD graduate from Mohamad University. What's exciting for me here is that the team from DeepMind is here. I really want to to kind of relate to what I've been doing and find myself in that context. So thank you so much for organizing this.
Okay, let's hear from two more if they are. There's just a lady a little bit in the front. Yes.
Hello, I'm Ada Lovelace from Tanzania, a PhD student at Nelson Mandela African Institute of Science and Technology. From this conference, I'm expecting to get more hands-on experience on the latest machine learning techniques and tools, and yes, to get networking. Thank you.
Okay, why don't we take this one here on the side here as the last, in the front. Just lift your hand up or stand.
Hello everyone, my name is Aska and I'm from Pakistan. So even though I don't belong to the MENA region, I do want to know how the people from the other regions can collaborate. What the current landscape of AI, especially in the medicine and the health region is, since I strongly belong to that field. And like everyone said, I'm working as well, and how we can collaborate, work together, and bring about new products for the good of the people, especially in the health region, by collaborating together.
Okay, should we, you just come to forward, this will be my last word. Then I'll move back to the scheduled program.
Thank you very much. So I'm Valentine from Morocco, and I'm specialized in applying artificial intelligence on weather forecasting. So I was really hoping to come to this meeting to meet the Google DeepMind team for their early articles on weather forecasting, like graph-casting, J-casting, and so on. And also it is an opportunity to share knowledge and to network, and also to, why not build more collaboration with other people from our region. Thank you.
Okay, I know there are many, many other voices, many other ambitions for the week. I wish we could spend the whole hour just hearing from all of you, but my bosses will, have asked me to give you another agenda, so we're going to go on. But please, all of those ideas and ambitions that you had, pick them up and let's talk more during the coffee break. So, what I heard was the following: you are proud of your region. You are looking forward to see what this region can actually achieve, what its actual full potential is, and now is the time to get that potential ready and to elevate. You are here, of course, to network. All of you mentioned that this is going to be the best environment. You're looking for collaborators, co-authors, people to build your next products with, people to give you research ideas, to give you hands-on experience and the latest machine learning. I really like the point in the front, to calibrate yourself and where the state of the art is. You want to work in all the fields of medicine, of health, of weather, and languages and many others. So, and then you are looking forward to really build a strong community and take that forward to your governments, to your communities, wherever you come from, across the world, and do that forward. So I think that's those are truly, truly important areas. So thank you for your voices, thank you for your stories. I've seen how hard the organizers have been working to make this event a reality. So I think you are all in the best hands to make all of those dreams that you have come true. So that's my point to say for my part, my immense gratitude to all of you organizers for giving your sweat, your blood, your tears, your months and months and months of late night calls and early morning time to really make this happen. And also really thank you to our leaders at ICLR for hosting us in this amazing venue to really being the place that is bringing our communities together. Okay, so I'm gonna let me start now on part one, which is all going to be about getting ready. So, we are here. So I thought a good first story is to start with the one that you have all lived through yourself. So the time now is the end of November 2022. It's about 1 week before the biggest conference in the field of AI, which is called the Conference on Neural Information Processing Systems. And we have all these people. So 1 week before, a very well-known startup decided to release a chatbot that was made publicly available. And in 5 days, this new AI tool had 1 million users. And in 2 months, it became 100 million users. And it became the fastest growing internet application in history. And the Atlantic magazine that year nominated this particular tool as its breakthrough for the year. Kelsey Piper, a journalist, described this chatbot as the public's first hands-on introduction to how powerful modern AI has gotten. And as a result, many of us are stunned. Of course, this was the story of ChatGPT from OpenAI. That was pioneering work, and it has been 2 years since the ChatGPT remains immensely popular. ChatGPT was also described as a generative AI eruption. I like the language that is used by the education scholar Justin Wright, who describes this type of technology as an arrival technology. So, where a technology simply seems to arrive out of nowhere, it arises into our field, into our daily lives, and we adapt with it, and we adapt around it in many ways. So, this is then different or the opposite from a designed technology that emerges from the demand of users and people and slowly enters the pool of technology and succeeds or fades away. I think we can all assume or make a prediction that there will be many more arrival technologies still to come. So again, that theme that I want to put forward to you today, can we get ready for such arrival technologies and breakthroughs that are part of our expectations for the future? So I think there are 2 parts of getting ready here in the Middle East and North Africa and beyond, or for any regions really. So let's ask these 2 questions. A, how do we get the Middle East and North African societies ready for AI and the changes that AI will lead to? Now that is both a social question and it is also a technological question. But equally important, how do we make AI ready for the needs of the Middle East and North African region? Again, this is both a social and a technical question. So we need to do both of these, we need answers to both of these questions, and we need to do them now, and we need to do them together. So I've set up this split so you understand that getting ready is a socio-technical problem. And we are thinking about a socio-technical system. So the word socio-technical here emphasizes that technology and society can be and should be thought of as a coupled system. So, to not only be where was I? I lost my point. So, our work is deeply technical, but it is also embedded in the societies we are living in, and we do not want to separate them. We should really think of them as the same kind of system, and that thinking together and building the same kind of system is what will lead us to answer new questions and to really think about how it is that we steer AI towards benefit and away from harm. So to do this kind of steering of AI, we need more than technical AI research, and that is the role of socio-technical AI research. So socio-technical AI is all about reconfiguring how it is that we think about our work as designers, engineers, and researchers. So we're going to ask that our technical and engineering work accounts for a more expansive set of considerations, while at the same time bringing a kind of focus and a manageability to very complex social considerations. So in these 2 models we have a telescope model of AI and a microscope model of AI. So again, looking to the vastness, memory, and other. The sociotechnical approaches ask us for an ecosystem view and is a way of engaging with that ecosystem. And I'm going to use several examples in the next part to give you a sense of the variety of sociotechnical work that we can engage. Sociotechnical thinking should remind you that we are not merely passive observers of the new horizons in generative AI. In fact, we are the people who are defining what the frontier and those new horizons will turn out to be. So that's the reason why you are here, that's the reason why you are a pioneer, and that's the reason in which you can be pioneering. So having set up this understanding, let me tell you some stories of areas of AI research that I think are amazing to work in, but they also show the breadth of both technical and social components and how they are advancing currently in our field. So, part 2. I'm going to tell you about 3 impact areas. These are 3 distinct sociotechnical problems, and they're going to expose a lot of complexity and choice in the way that we are working. So, the first one, a tutor for everyone. So again, let's start with a short story. The time is now 1984, and the educational psychologist Benjamin Bloom has just published what will become one of the most influential graphs in the area of learning and education. In fact, it may be one of the most influential graphs in all of our scholarly and intellectual thinking in general. Bloom presented results that showed that one-on-one tutoring led to a 2 sigma improvement in student performance. So really what that's showing you is that the impact of one-on-one tutoring in any kind of learning environment is just truly mind-blowing. So what Bloom did was then turn this problem into an educational quest, a quest that we have still been working on to this day, asking, which he called the 2 sigma problem. And he asked, could we achieve these same results but in conditions that are more practical and that are more scalable than one-on-one tutoring. And as many of us know, one-on-one tutoring can be the most expensive, time-consuming, labor-intensive tasks or setups they have. It's very rare for people around the world to have that kind of one-on-one tutoring, but it is repeatable over time that one-on-one tutoring can make the average student become basically the 90th percentile of performance. So if we were to achieve this kind of tutoring, we would really unlock a new level and a new age of performance. So this emphasizes tutoring as an important problem in itself. And you can really get a very memorable slogan out of this, which is the vision for education for many people these days, is to build a tutor for every learner and a TA, a teaching assistant, for every teacher. And this is the vision that you're going to see from many actors, including Khan Academy and Google and many areas across the educational technologies or EdTech sector. AI and education is one way to simultaneously have research, product, and social impact. So I like working what I call these triple impact areas, but we work on education and learning because it is also a global concern and a global challenge. And I believe if we get AI and education right, we could achieve one of the great public benefit uses of AI for people across the world. So this is captured by that urgent vision for education set out in the Sustainable Development Goal number 4. By 2030, ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. I was lucky to have a meeting with the leadership of UNESCO a few weeks ago, and unfortunately we are doing the worst probably of all the SDGs in this area of education. We have made very little progress in the last 10 years, and its urgency is only increasing as we move forward. So new ideas are needed, and new pioneering ideas are needed. So the sociotechnical questions I want you to ask are all about what happens when people that are modified using a variety of methods, technically either methods of prompting or fine-tuning, and are designed and tested for multi-turn learning type interactions. So these are interactions of the type that ask for introductions to a topic, they ask for explanations, they ask for quizzes on a learning area, and ask for resources related to a learning goal. I won't say much more about the modeling or the design world, since later in the week you are lucky to be able to hear from Witwatersrand, who will give you a deep dive into AI and education. What I want to do is use the time I have to focus and point out 3 sociotechnical focus areas. The first one is broad expertise. One natural place to begin engaging with the sociotechnical system in any field, not just education, is to start by looking at anyone who is not an expert in AI. So in this case, looking at people whose expertise is in learning science and pedagogy. One initial task that is actually ongoing for our work is to work with teaching experts to establish the set of learning and pedagogical principles that characterizes what would a good AI tutor look like. Don't give away the answer. Be engaging and motivating. Guide the learning journey. Gauge a learner's level of understanding. Consider empathetic responses. Contextual use. These principles become a philosophy of design and inform how all the data we use is created and collected and emphasizes what should be evaluated for usefulness. So when we work with raters or teachers or learners, we assess how do these people benefit from the interaction, and we check if these learning principles are used in the right situation and at the right time. Learning is a very variable space. Depending on what we are learning, what we need at that point is different. We need to know that context and adapt to that context. And the experience, finally, of using a technical system is essential for any work on AI in service of society. This AI is designed so that it isn't positive about toxic content, as you'd expect, and specific tests are created to check that content creators are respected. So as one good example, we check and train the AI to make sure that it doesn't assume the gender of a video speaker. So let me make this concrete by using as an example one system in a study we did earlier last year of placing a tutor like this in the hands of real students. We call this a tutoring system LearnML. The setting is the following. Students are enrolled in a program called Study Hall, which is a partnership between Arizona State University, Crash Course, and YouTube. And it offers a pathway to college credit that is accessible to learners of all ages and background. It is really a program meant to enable equity and bring people into the educational system. The actual interface with this chatbot is a Chrome extension called Homemade, and when there is a video available, it uses the transcript of the video as a context for the language model and otherwise grounded on course overview materials. The key aspect of any work like this is the role of meaningful evaluations. Any system that claims to support learning needs to be assessed in ways that are valid, that are robust, and that are comparable to other competing approaches. But we are far from reaching this very ideal state across the educational technology sector, so this is where there's a major need for deeper and ongoing sociotechnical AI research. Measurement and evaluation are central to any scientific work, and we have developed a spectrum of pedagogical assessments that are qualitative, that are quantitative, that are human-based, and that are automatic. There are many other sociotechnical research questions to look at as well. One question is how chat agents and assistants should embody professional norms, and generally on the relationships that people might build with language agents. For education, the question of self-disclosure becomes important. How should AI agents respond to learners who show vulnerability or share details of their personal mental state? Many of us will have that example where we have a day where we are struggling to learn, where I'm feeling very easy, I'm just not getting it, I'm not understanding. How should the chatbot respond when we communicate those kind of emotions or those kind of mental state? It's actually a very serious question for us as we think about the broader space of how AI works in society. So all of this is connected to other needs, like exploring digital well-being when interacting with assistants. And these are ultimately human-AI interaction problems that are going to become an ever larger need within our research and oversight programs, and critical to how we are going to show any benefit from AI. Although our eyes are fixed on that vision of a tutor for everyone, and the current trajectory is for learning tutors that are interactive, that are multimodal, we have not forgotten to remain critical of our aims. We can't motivate work like this by appealing to equity in education, since you can hardly claim to have equitable access to people across the world if you need a video subscription or depend on a high-bandwidth internet connection. And we are acutely aware of the significant variability in long-term learning outcomes that digital tools and interfaces create. Education is important here in Qatar and in the Middle East, and it is important here as it is everywhere else. So I hope that some of you are the future developers and sociotechnical researchers that will see new tutors that work in Arabic and in other languages, that are sensitive to the richer culture and the history of the Middle East, and that work in the ways that you and your communities need. So maybe for now, as we heard earlier, we'll have an education or teacher-based version. Probably that should be its next thing on its research and product roadmap. Anyway, let's talk about a different story now. In this story, I want you to know instead, we're going to go back in time to 1922. And Lewis Fry Richardson has just published this book. It's called Weather Prediction by Numerical Processes. Now what he doesn't know yet is that this book will become a cornerstone of the field of weather forecasting. The centuries before had given Richardson and also us today one of the best exemplars of a triple impact domain. So one where research impact, deployment and product impact, and social impact are mutually realized by the search for improved weather forecasts and climate understanding. As Richardson finalizes his book, he adds his vision of a new horizon for weather forecasting, writing about his vision of a forecast factory. This is an artist's rendition that you're seeing on the screen. The factory is a building with an enormous central chamber with walls painted to form the map of the globe. A large number of computers, and in those days computers were people who did physical calculations. So human computers are busy calculating the future weather. Richardson estimated that around 64,000 people would be needed to complete the calculations needed to forecast the changing weather. Of course, the factory was the model of how Victorian-era industrialists thought about the world, not unlike how we think today using the data set digital assisted model. Nevertheless, I think Richardson's broad stroke visions of the future of weather has been realized. Impact in this area can be found in many, many places. And for example, consider this, that the 3-day ahead predictions of hurricane tracks that we have today are more accurate than the 1-day ahead forecast we had 40 years ago. So this is a technical field that has increased both accuracy and the prediction horizon of its forecast, and while it did that, it enabled safety and all the social benefits that forewarning brings to any community or any society. But the frontier of weather forecasting and climate understanding is always changing. And a major part of the reinvigoration in weather and climate we have today is from the significant progress we are making in the field of AI for Earth systems forecasting. In my view, this is one of the most vibrant and rewarding areas for any of us to be working in right now. Some of the new horizons for weather forecasting came into view a few earlier in the year, and actually every year now, when we look at extreme events and how we forecast those events. The ICML, which is widely recognized as the world's leading center for medium-range forecasts, has now made available several generations of machine learning-based approaches for 10-day ahead weather forecasts. So we refer to 10-day ahead forecasts as medium-range forecasts. The availability of these forecast models allow people who work with hurricanes and extremes to monitor and record the performance of these new machine learning predictions, and specifically predictions for wind and the sea level pressure, which are the key variables for dealing and analyzing these kinds of storms. There have been great deal of progress in hurricane forecasting already. This is opening up new opportunities for warning and safety. And all of this is based on a model called GraphCast that I want to tell you a bit more. But although I'm talking to you about hurricanes as one example, there are many other extreme events, extreme heat and extreme cold, sandstorms as well, or even atmospheric rivers, or benefit from these kind of problems. So the medium-range forecasting problem is as follows. It involves making predictions in 6-hour intervals, from 6 hours ahead up to 10 days in the future at around 25 kilometers spatial resolution at the equator. So in the data that we use, you can see in the image, every pixel or every square is a grid of the Earth that contains 5 surface variables along with 6 atmospheric variables, each at 37 pressure levels all across the Earth. So that gives you a total of 227 variables per grid point, and in total 235,000 variables for each type of you want to make a prediction for. So that's probably one of the largest kinds of machine learning prediction problems you get. Probably also this data is one of the largest kinds of input data that you get. One of the magic ingredients here is the commitment of international meteorological organizations and their member states to making numerical simulations available to us to use as training data, specifically the type of data that's known as reanalysis data that covers the last 40 years. The aim here is to build the best general purpose base weather model that we can, and this base weather model can later be built on by other users like environment agencies or commercial operators for their specific problems. And these problems are many: renewable energy, logistics, aviation, floods, safety planning and warnings, and so much more. To see how this works, it's common to produce a scorecard, which is what you're seeing on the screen, that visually summarizes model performance across different variables and using different metrics. Blue squares when the model is better than the operational system, red when it is not. Importantly, they also show performance across different subsets of the data. That performance for the southern hemisphere versus the northern hemisphere, or performance for the Middle East versus tropical regions, or any other way that you would like to. So this scorecard shows that machine learning approaches can outperform operational weather systems. And so with this scorecard, we eventually be able to affirmatively answer a very long-standing question of whether data-driven machine learning approaches for weather forecasting can be competitive with world-leading operational forecasting systems. Using graph neural networks, we were able to show state-of-the-art performance that significantly outperforms the most accurate operational deterministic global medium-range forecasting system on 90% of the 1,380 verification targets we assessed. The model outperforms also other machine learning-based approaches on 99% of the verification targets that were reported. And our model can generate a forecast in 60 seconds on a single deep learning chip, which we estimate is 1 to 2 orders of magnitude faster than traditional numerical weather prediction systems. The next generation of this work is now called GenCast, that uses diffusion models to create probabilistic forecasts that allow the uncertainty in weather to be represented and used for decision making. This model has pushed the state of the art even further and is better than the world's best probabilistic forecast called ENS on 97% of the variables and lead times, and make predictions up to 50 ahead to generate around 50 or so of these representations. It takes 8 minutes to generate one of them. Again, the same kind of order of magnitude. Now, I'm not saying all of this, and I'm not sharing the results in this way to leave you with the impression that we now have a replacement for widely used numerical weather prediction systems, or the role of physical knowledge, physics knowledge in simulation. Rather, what's clear from these results and the results of so many different contributors and machine learning groups across the world, maybe some of you in this room also, is that rapid advances are being made in the use of machine learning for weather. We are seeing this improvement compared to operational forecast and across forecast horizons, even up to a year now, and that is supporting the vital work of weather-dependent decision making that is so important for the flourishing of our society. Yet, while so many technical advances continue to be made, another less optimistic story is also unfolding. I want to take you back in time now to 1997, and we are going to be this time in Peru. Amazingly, improved forecasts of the El Nino are now available at this point in history, and with that, a new tool to assess shipping conditions and the changes in the potential ocean fish populations. So this is where our story is taking a kind of dark turn. Fishing companies, incentivized by the prospect of a weak season, based on such forecasts, chose instead to accelerate the layoffs of their workers. So in this case, no triple impact to be had. These improved forecasts have led to demonstrable harms and the opposite of their assumed benefit. And we have many such stories of Zimbabwe, Zambia, in China and other areas across the world. So you don't always get benefit, and that's something we need to think about quite often. As a second example, today the average forecast accuracy for high-income countries is around 25% more accurate than the average accuracy for low-income countries. So that's a problem of forecast equity and a distinct challenge for all of us. So you also have a section on AI and sustainability later in the week, so look out for that to get into many more of the details of this topic, which I think just means so amazing to know. Okay, let's go to a third area, so you get more of the video. This time around comedy, art, and culture. So, as a third story, it's now 2022, and there's a series at the Edmonton Fringe, which is a festival for experimental performance art in Edmonton, and they are running a series called Plays by Bots. The description is an improv series, and the description of the improv series is as possible. Bots write scripts, performers act them out, then they improvise the ending. Hilarity ensues. The result is an unpredictable work of human-machine co-creativity. You will laugh until your face hurts. Now, the role of generative AI and language models in creating creative writing fields is, of course, very active today. And I thought we could look at the part of AI for dramaturgy, which is the writing of dramas, scripts, and plays. One system that you can play with is called Dramatron, which is the compositional use of text-generating models set up for dramaturgy. Dramatron builds a structural context for a play or drama via prompt training, at least for now, and aims to generate coherent scripts and screenplays complete with title, characters, a story beat, a location, a description, and dialogue. So this is a depiction of the hierarchical generation that starts with the log line, then it sets the scene for this co-writing exercise, and then allows training, regenerating, and editing to provide a co-writing experience. If I think now, again as an aside for another application, maybe for our Arabic LLM, if I'm thinking about Arabic plays, Arabic drama, maybe this is a way of creating a different kind of drama tool. So, another good idea there, or maybe it's a bad idea, we'll have to test that one. So, Dramatron was actually designed to explore a more fundamental question, though. That question was, what do artists want and need from co-writing tools, and how might artists actually participate in the design of these kind of language-based writing tools? So later on, in a small conference room, this time actually now we are in Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which is the world's largest festival. We asked a group of artists to come together to write a script using these systems and to put it in the context of their practice. So we wanted them to understand the technology and for us to understand their needs. So some of the artists would even later stage their co-written scripts, and this group really demonstrates the breadth of designers and what they wanted, and we would never have ourselves concluded what they said to us. Some artists saw new modes of interactivity and opportunity, and others exposed its limitations in itself, or concluded that it was just simply not a tool for them. So here's what some of the participants who are professional screenwriters, playwrights, and actors, directors themselves had to say. They said, in terms of the interactive co-authorship process, I think it's great. You know, with a bit of editing, I could take that to Netflix. Just needs a bit of finesse. Actually, a lot of the content is misogynistic and patriarchal. AI will never write Casablanca or A Wonderful Life. It may be able to write genre-box storytelling. So you get that broad spectrum of reactions, responses, and uses. So Dramatron is an ideation and a co-writing tool, and I think a great example of taking a people-centered approach to AI. So success is only possible if people actually find value. The real story here is about how we can center the needs of different groups of people and different communities in the development of new technical systems, whether that is in establishing better weather forecasts, like I spoke about earlier, or in creating performance skills, or in any other areas of application that you might have in mind. This way of ensuring that people are also owners and shapers of the upcoming horizons in AI is often referred to as participation. What you are doing right now by coming together in this Middle East and North Africa machine learning conference is creating new forms of participation. Participatory AI is an active area of work and one where there is a great deal of complexity and attention, but it is an area from which all of our work can benefit. In any maturing field, like generative AI, there is uncertainty, especially about the path that future technology and its impacts and its benefits. That uncertainty directly affects how we go about designing and releasing new methods. So this is often well captured by the famous Coleridge dilemma on this tension between technological uncertainty and control. Coleridge, in the first few pages of his very famous book, has this quote: "When change is easy, the need for it cannot be foreseen. When the need for change is apparent, change has become expensive, difficult, and difficult." Yet, what I hope to expose with this story of Dramatron and this participatory nature is that we don't need to make a choice between uncertainty and premature action, or certainty and expensive action in the safeguarding of our communities. Participation leads us down a different path that includes people in the design of our methods, allows us to become comfortable with disagreement between people, and be open to changing what we work on and how we work based on wider input. Participation changes how we develop, research, design, evaluate, and deploy machine learning systems, making it people-centered and turns it into an ongoing process. Participation done well can place our work on stronger ethical foundations by incorporating and accounting for the values of the societies and the people that we work with. I thought I would share a second example of a different type of participation that can allow more culturally rich evaluations, this time in the area of art and design, and in particular in the ways that allow adaptation of AI for In this work, the group of researchers worked with a small group of artists to work with AI and tools, in particular to generate Islamic art and Islamic cultural representation, and to study how artists adapt or hack tools to allow richer cultural representation, or to even see if these tools are at all capable of allowing for those representation. I think in the earlier talk, it was very clear the amount of data of Arabic or Muslim culture that appears in the internet actually deeply enters into these models, which means they can't actually do that kind of cultural representation, and the artists who use them really have to go out of their way to make them work. So what I think this kind of work does, it shows that cultural, and specifically cultural evaluations, can point to shortcomings of many of our widespread tools, but they also point out to the ways that local groups can take control of these tools and build new kinds of tools as well. I think there was a quote that I put up here that the current way of doing AI-generated art, text, image reminds me of 19th century Orientalist paintings, when they paint carpets and they go swiggle, 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 when you have to do the Arabic calligraphy. So I think there's much more work and necessity. Okay. In both these examples, participation must be more than just a user study or market-based assessment, and can take many different forms. Participants gain great value and are empowered in the process of participation, and a key component of any participation is in deliberation or in discussion. So a recent OECD review talks about catching the deliberative ways and describes at least 8 forms of deliberative democracy that we could consider. What I hope you can see is that the sociotechnical aim is to use participation to both lead to beneficial AI development while also strengthening diverse and varied forms of political community. So it's 47 minutes that I've been speaking. I'm going to use my last 10 minutes just to now talk to you, to pick up on this topic of political, technical, and social community. So in the last part, I really want to talk to you about owning and shaping AI. So participation has its limitations, like any method does, and it can't do everything. Fortunately, there are many other approaches for community involvement that are available to us, and as one approach, I am a passionate advocate of the role and support of grassroots organizations and in their ability to create new forms of understanding and demonstrate the forms of participation and alternative research and development community that are already possible. Creating a grassroots community is effectively what you have achieved here in this very first Middle East and North Africa event, Community Solution Learning. So let me share my story of the Deep Learning Indaba, which is a charitable grassroots organization working towards the mission of strengthening African AI and machine learning. I'm privileged to be able to lead this organization as its chair and to work with volunteers every year to deliver our mission. We started and still have a vision that Africa's communities should be owners and shapers of the role of AI and technology in their social worlds. That is the mission that I want to lead with you as well. That is not just African communities, it is the Middle East community that should also be owners and shapers of the role of AI and technology in your social worlds. Our story at the Indaba began in 2016. This was supposed to be a little video for you to see, but I only have to be here, so you'll just have to listen to me and imagine this. It doesn't change much over the 10 years that I should be here. So we were again at that very large machine learning, the world machine learning conference called NeurIPS. That year was held in Barcelona. And the absence of any Africans at that meeting became too great to ignore. I would often ask all my colleagues, where are the other South Africans at this event? And especially if it's the largest one, the most important one, surely there should be someone else other than just me, or you. And so quickly there we recognized that the entire continent was missing. So what we then did was we followed with a small study in which we eventually called the missing continents, which pointed out that in the previous 10 years, from 2006 to 2016, no papers were published in that conference from in any meaningful way would be possible. That data at the same time also showed that the same phenomenon was applicable to South America as well. So owning a trade week couldn't mean publishing papers only. What we wanted and needed was a way of Africans coming together in their own spaces, in their own land, in their own communities, experiencing the wide variety of our continent, and to create capacity and an AI ecosystem that was local. And our work was then to ensure that we built communities, that we created leadership, and that we recognized excellence in African AI. And these three components form a connected engine of change that will then strengthen African AI and create the opportunities for greater impact. The Indaba this year is now 8 years old, and we have created a change that is unique and special. Africa's AI calendar is now defined by the annual Deep Learning Indaba, the equivalent of what you are doing here this week. Our community experiences the continent's variety by attending the Indaba, having hosted it now in South Africa, in Kenya, in Tunisia, in Ghana, in Senegal, and will be this year in Rwanda for that meeting. We have also looked to create local communities in every one of Africa's countries, and we have reached the major milestone of having established machine learning communities in 47 of Africa's countries, and I think this year we are on track to reach 50. And the most significant part of this success is the privilege of every year, the opportunity I have to see enthusiastic entrants into our field and develop their ideas, to present their work for the first time, to receive the recognition for their work, and to grow and reach enviable success and new heights, and to know amongst their peers that their questions and approaches are important and a part of the way that they are uniquely shaping our continent's future. Because of the Indaba, new research has been produced, award-winning research groups have been created, startups have been established, and people have found friendship, opportunities, and new direction. And our impact has been global, having influenced the creation of regional communities across the world, in Eastern Europe, in South America, in Southeast Asia, in the Caribbean, and I'm so pleased now, after many years of wishing to see that, we are now here in the Middle East with all of you. You are part of the pioneers taking responsibility for your communities and building collectives and movements to support AI, participation, ownership, and transformation. If we now look back over this last decade, I believe we can honestly say that our field of AI is now more global and becoming more so because of the commitment and the sacrifices of groups like all of you. If I remind you of my starting theme about getting ready, it is by creating communities like MenaML that we get ready and shape our sociotechnical future. So let me wrap up there in the last 4 minutes. I spoke about many topics that were social, philosophical, technical, and emotional. But I used all of these stories and examples so you would get to this point with 3 key takeaways. First, get ready. Arrival technologies and AI is something that can be harnessed for the benefits that the Middle East also deserves and in ways that support our diverse cultures and history. And you have the tools and the socio-technical thinking, participation, community building already available to you. Impact research. There is significant progress still to be made in education, whether drama, the arts, and so many other fields. They allow you to work on triple impacts of research, products, and society. I hope you will find a field that fills you with excitement and joy. Finally, MenaML. What you're doing here this week is important and truly significant, and I hope it becomes long-lasting and permanent. Like the Deep Learning Indaba, with commitment and consistency, this week and in the years that lie ahead, we will have touched the lives of students and people, allowing them to take full responsibility in their role as pioneers. So I thank you for having me here today, for giving me your attention, for for allowing me to be here at this significant moment for your community's growth. My deepest, deepest thanks to you all. As a that might be of interest to you. Our paper on how we built the best LLM-based AI tutor, LearnLM improving Gemini for learning. Our paper on probabilistic 50-day ahead weather forecast, probabilistic weather forecasting with machine learning, that's in Nature. The paper on understanding how comedians work with AI. A paper on AI and Islamic art, AI and local art world, appropriating, adapting, and reimagining AI through artistic inquiry and dialogue in non-Western context. And finally, if ever you are interested in the actual day-to-day work of the Deep Learning Indaba, our annual impact reports. Again, I thank you all so much. I hope you have a wonderful week. I don't know if we do want to take some questions, otherwise we could go for lunch. I leave the team where we are to.
Do we have any questions? We can do a couple of minutes.
I have a question for Shakir. How do you maintain that smile?
You have to be happy in a time like this, in this amazing campus, in this beautiful center. I think you can't help but smile.
How do you maintain your smile?
There's a question behind this way.
First of all, thank you so much for this amazing presentation. We also founded an AI community in Turkey, in Bilkent University, and we split off over 1,000 members. And I just see your Indaba work, it looks amazing, and I'm here for this connection with MENA program. So I just want to ask, if you have any suggestions for communities like us. We want to grow in Turkey, and we want to connect with the MENA and more global stage. Thank you.
I'm writing questions, so let's just hear a few of them. I think there was one in the front as well.
So I asked for suggestions.
Yeah, I'll come back. I'm going to collect a few questions. Or comments.
So I was just going to make a comment that thanks to your energy and questioning back 10 years ago in NeurIPS, why aren't there other South Africans now at NeurIPS? And I was there 2 months ago in December, Vancouver. There is a whole workshop for Muslims in machine learning, which is Hassan here from ICLR and some are some of the organizers. So the communities are getting built thanks to your energy.
Any other questions that I can, otherwise I'll just comment. So, suggestions for those community building. I think what's now needed for this community in Turkey and in other region is to think, what can you do when you bring people together? And so a few ideas that we have done was, we have this idea thought program that allows you to build ideas during that week, and then you support those groups over the rest of the year to really develop those ideas going forward. They create new papers, they create new ideas, and in fact, in 1 year, the idea thought from the previous year got funded and became a startup the next year, and then you really see that growth. So I really think the core is to think what is unique about bringing people together that really drives them. What you have to do is really create the space on this idea. And let me just say, I was there to actually create the first Muslims in Machine Learning workshop that we did several years ago with several colleagues. I think it's really, really important that we continue to create those kind of safer spaces. Let me just share with you, for any who are identifying as Muslims in this group, one of the challenges and why I think this space is even more important. There were many people that we had that were very afraid to come forward, to even be listed as organizers of that first event. Because to come out and to say that you are Muslim or want to represent creates a great deal of fear. And in fact, the community itself also didn't respond that well. There were many kind of criticisms in the comment. But when we come together this way, we understand that there is strength in being together, that we are not alone, and that this space is important, and it does matter. And we do need to create that cultural representation. And part of our responsibility is to help others understand our culture, and for us to also understand ours. continues to be important work that I would encourage any of you to get involved, to please continue to join the organizers, to speak with Mazia, to speak with me, to speak with anyone else if you're going to get involved. Continue to do that in many more spaces.
I don't know how I'm following up after this, but I was going to ask you more technical questions, like how do you handle the Chicane situation where we're talking about, for example, the funding cost? We don't have enough data online. I am a PhD student in my first year, I'm really passionate about using Gen AI for representing my postdoc. How do I get started with this? Where do I get, how do you break into a space that has no data and no, I guess, funding, I guess, in the West as well, there are very few funding bodies like actually use this. Sorry for being dumb.
That's good. Is there another topical question? If I could just take a few. There's another one here. Go for it.
You talked about trustworthy AI, but I was thinking if you can touch upon the explainability part of it. Because as a Muslim, sometimes we might be skeptical about some certain things. If talking about the drama app that you talked about, sorry, I forgot the exact name. But is it okay to be skeptical about a few things that maybe foreign agendas are pushed through these scripts or anything like that? So if there is explainability and having some background of basic machine learning models, how can we expect explainability to be pushed into LLMs? Because explaining simple CNNs is also some task. So how can we deal with explainability if we talk about LLMs? There are certain people who are skeptical about some of the outputs that are generated by LLMs.
Yeah, thank you for this amazing talk and energy. I'm just curious to know, why did you miss out like the application of AI in healthcare in your talk? Because this is a highly impactful field, and especially for underdiagnosed or underrepresented groups, it can be really impactful. So I'm just wondering this question.
I'll take a few more. There was some on that side as well. Is there mic on that side?
I have a comment and experience to share. So I'm also part of the Indaba. I'm part of the Indaba X community Somali and the chapter lead. So the importance of this kind of winter school, summer schools, AI for Africa specifically. So I was part of the Indaba 2023 summer school. I think like we need summer schools, but we also need fellowships. Like let's say a lot of Africans pursue masters, and it's hard to do, like if somebody wants to do AI research and is based in Africa, sometimes it's like hard to have their own practicals. So I was lucky to be at Indaba 2023, and then it's this kind of like where we have sponsors from Google everywhere. I was lucky to meet Jeff Dean from Google when he was just coming, seeing what's being done in Africa. He was lucky to find our organizations where like, we were able to place Africans, young African AI research fellows, like who would love to do like fellowships, they get paid for like 6 months. So we were lucky to start the first one at Indaba, Senegal, 2024, announced the launchment. And we are lucky now to have 2 people in Germany doing at Heidelberg University their research and 5 people at the study office in Rwanda. So I was lucky also enough, like I need that organization because I was also funded by through AIMS. We also have AIMS where they do like AI, African AI researchers, mathematics. So they usually have collaborations from the US, UK. So I was also lucky to be a visiting student, like in this summer school, I was lucky to meet the director of the AIMS. I was like, hey, I wanna like be one visiting students because I was in Somalia, like we had to get the practical. So they were to host for like 4 months. After that, I got like opportunity to do my fellowship in Germany 3 months, where I'm now working as a student researcher. So I would also encourage people who are doing the summer schools to also like after the summer schools to encourage fellowship 6 month practicals where you can lead to like either work or like people can come back to Africa and then proceed.
Let's take a couple more. There's one behind you, and then we wrap up.
Hi, Shakir, thank you for your amazing presentation. I'm Abdulaziz from Libya, postdoc at the University of Leeds. Here regarding collaboration and have like machine learning model LLMs in our regions, I think one of the big challenges here is about having data, because the privacy and data security concerns of users or institutions is one of the big challenges to have like effective and strong or robust machine learning models. From you as from big institutions like Google, how you can like sort or find a solution or like strategy to coach people to share data without any concern about the privacy and like using their personal data for something that maybe will harm them in the future, or maybe would be like a weapon that would be used against certain region or certain Thank you.
Hello, can I ask a question?
Okay.
Ready for lunch, but we will all be at the Heroes
Okay, now we just answer the chicken and egg. Not enough data. I think we always have this kind of question. It's unclear. I think maybe just precision in our question and answer. We can actually sometimes say, actually, we shouldn't collect this data because there are reasons to protect those communities. So I don't have that, but maybe also coming together in these ways, that means we can, by having larger groups, we advocate for resources in better ways rather than individual. So you can use a kind of structural way to fund that. Explainability is essential. It depends on the context that you are in, and depends on the problem that you are in, and what counts as an explanation. In the educational setting, explanation is very different from the weather setting, that looks very different from a healthcare setting, for example. In another version of this talk, I actually do have a section on healthcare, but
there is an AI for healthcare talk on Thursday.
Exactly. And I was going to say there's both areas of biology and I think AI for healthcare coming good. In another version, I do usually talk about health, but I thought today I would actually see in this subset instead. Funding and fellowships is critically important. How we actually fund those in a sustainable way continues to be a challenge. And also how it is that we fund people so they don't need to always go overseas. Some people should go overseas, but we should also have the opportunity for people to stay. And more people will stay than need to go away. So how we address that challenge? The privacy issue continues to be one of the hardest ones. There are technical solutions like watermarking, this field of unlearning, field of privacy preserving applications that are making progress. But again, we should not get in a situation, or we shouldn't ourselves be people who try to convince others, trust me. We need to do the work of repeatedly demonstrating that we are doing trustworthy actions, that our model can be trustworthy, because all the evidence that people have seen so far is that usually these two models do come in unintended. They are used for bad outcomes and bad decisions. I think that participation becomes more important as a kind of social solution in addition to the kind of technical solution. You've all been asking amazingly difficult, challenging questions, and thank you all. It's such a pleasure to be here.